All right. It is 1:02. I know there are a number of folks registered today who I'm sure will also be joining throughout and who might catch the session later on as well. So I'm going to kick off. Welcome. Thank you so much, all of those in the room, for being here today. My name is Rachel Lieblein-Javala. I'm the programs manager at the Spencer Educational Foundation, and my pronouns are she, her. I'm going to let somebody in really quickly before I continue. There we go. Fantastic. And really happy to have you for our presentation coming from Risk Cooperative, a company's greatest asset, managing risk and human capital. First off, just to introduce the Spencer Educational Foundation, our foundation is dedicated to funding the education of tomorrow's risk management and insurance leaders. And we do so through scholarships, internship grants, and grants to universities for experiential learning opportunities and RMI curriculum development. And our webinar series that we've been offering throughout the summer is a free offering for current students and recent grads and anyone and everyone else who wants to join us. And it's a great opportunity to hear from a variety of really amazing risk and insurance professionals. So again, thank you for being here on this afternoon or morning, depending on where you are. Couple of housekeeping notes. Again, for those of you who may have just entered, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself in the chat with your name, your organization or university, and also where you're calling in from geographically. We'd love to get to know you all. Second piece is I would encourage you, if you're able and comfortable, to turn your video on. It's a smaller group today, which is oftentimes the best and makes for a more cozy, interactive environment. So if you do feel comfortable doing so, even if you're in your PJs, that's great. We'd love to see your faces. Third thing is that this meeting is being recorded, so it will be available after the fact on the Spencer Educational Foundation's website for you to revisit any information you see here today. And last piece is that Derek and Lawam will be entertaining questions throughout the presentation and at the end. So if you have a question throughout, please don't hesitate to type that in the chat, and Derek and Lawam will address that as they go through or at the end, pending timing. And now it's my pleasure to introduce our two presenters. Lawam Teklahamanot is account manager at Risk Cooperative and brings a wide array of experience across the healthcare space. Lawam holds a bachelor's in biological sciences and master's in healthcare administration from the University of Maryland, and she is licensed across life and health insurance. Thanks for being here, Lawam. And Derek Wong is account executive at Risk Cooperative, where he leads client engagements, designing comprehensive employee benefit strategies to meet client objectives. He brings more than a decade of experience in the employee benefits and health insurance industry and is also licensed across life and health insurance. Lawam and Derek, thank you so much for being here today. I'm going to pass the floor over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Rachel. I really appreciate it. And thank you, everyone, for joining us today. My name is Derek Wong. I'm joined by my wonderful colleague and co-host this afternoon, Lawam Teklahamanot. And for today's webinar presentation, we'll go through some brief introductions, provide you with some background information about our risk and advisory firm, Risk Cooperative, and then we'll dive into our main topic of conversation, which is essentially employee benefits. We'll review important topics such as requirements and key benefits that should be included in a comprehensive benefits package, some creative ways businesses are utilizing their benefits packages to increase employee recruitment and retention. This includes some post-pandemic healthcare trends that we're seeing emerge in 2021 and beyond, some techniques for mitigating risk and cost factors in the health insurance market, the power of education and guidance for employees and employers, the importance of supporting mental health and providing virtual care, and last but not least, an overview of creating an efficient insurance service model, not only in the healthcare industry, but in all facets of risk and insurance. And as Rachel stated, at the end of this session, we'll host a Q&A, but please, as we're going through the presentation, feel free to ask as many questions as possible through the chat. We want to make this as engaging and interactive as possible. At some points in this presentation, I'll be asking you all some questions. Don't worry, it's not a test at all. These questions are more so to pique your interest on various topics throughout this session. So a little background information about myself. As Rachel stated, I'm currently the account executive at Risk Cooperative. I'm responsible for new business and sales for the employee benefits division. I also work with our operations team for the ongoing maintenance of our high revenue accounts. And one of my primary focuses is to work with our clients and assist them with selecting health insurance plan designs, developing funding strategies, and conducting open enrollment meetings with employees. I've been working in the health insurance industry for over 12 years now. Started at Paychex Insurance Agency in upstate New York, where I was responsible for regional sales and retention for large businesses located in the Northeast. I'm fully licensed in life, accident, and health insurance, and I hold a certification in project management. I'll now turn it over to Luan so she can briefly provide some background information about herself, and I'll give you all a quick overview of Risk Cooperative.
Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. Good morning to everybody. First and foremost, I'd like to thank Rachel and the Spencer Education Foundation for having us on today. I'd like to thank all of you for participating or coming on, spending your time with us here. As stated, my name is Luan Teklahamina. I am one of the account managers here at Risk Cooperative. Alongside Derek and my other colleagues on the operations side here at Risk Cooperative, I'm responsible for the day-to-day maintenance of all existing clients and sometimes some of the newer clients. We do handle enrollment changes, claim issues, billing discrepancies, anything you can think of from the client and employee standpoint. We are there helping as best we can. I've actually been with Risk Cooperative for about 2.5 years. Prior to Risk, I was actually working the billing side of healthcare with a local DC Metro hospital system. So I do have a fairly sizable working knowledge base of complex claim issues, as well as other billing issues. So once again, I'm very happy to be here. I think I noticed someone in the chat saying that today was National Intern Day. So if we have any interns on the webinar with us, happy National Intern Day to you. You will only be intern for but so long. So yay, you guys.
Well, thanks for that, Luam. And just to give you a little background information about our firm, Risk Cooperative, our organization was founded in 2014. Offices are located in Washington, D.C. We're all currently working from home, so just a heads up, if you hear any barking or whimpering in the background, that would be my 6-month-old puppy. We're most likely switching to a hybrid workplace model in the fall. That's actually a subject that I'll get into later in this presentation, but for now, our households will remain as our main workspace. We're a fully licensed insurance broker that covers all lines of risk and insurance. We handle traditional employee benefits, such as medical, dental, vision, life and disability. These are the insurance policies that Luam and I typically handle with clients. We also provide property and casualty, specialty lines of insurance, such as cyber and event cancellation coverage, as well as insurance coverage for executive and financial officers, including kidnap, ransom, and extortion coverage, as well as general liability coverage. So now here's the first question for everybody through the chat. What are your top priorities when conducting a job search? Please enter your answers in the chat. There are no wrong answers whatsoever. We just simply want to know, what are some of the things you're looking for in an employer when searching for a job? Good people, that's absolutely correct. A good culture, good environment. Understanding the dynamic when joining an organization. Yes.
Absolutely.
Again, company culture through and through. Okay.
Yeah, as always looking for better, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Career advancement opportunities, we'll detail that later in this presentation. These are all great answers. And so according to a survey from 2020 that was conducted by the Achievers Workforce Institute, healthcare and medical benefits ranked as the second most important aspect when searching for a new job amongst young professionals. And there's no surprise that, compensation and pay is at the top of the list at 95%, but with 93% of the survey participants selecting healthcare and medical benefits as a top priority when looking for a new job. This is evidence that more and more companies are looking at employee benefits, especially health insurance benefits, when it comes to recruiting new talent. And the pandemic has made healthcare compensation as prevalent as ever because employees need to ensure themselves as well as their families are not only financially covered substantially, but also substantially protected from health risks as well. And you'll hear later in this presentation some references to other benefits and perks employees are looking for such as career advancement opportunities. I think I saw that as one of the people mentioned that through the chat, as well as flexible work schedules. And a few major companies such as Levi's and Verizon have actually recently restructured their benefits packages to include some of these types of incentives. So here's another question. Does anyone know how a benefits broker helps a company and its employees? So write in the chat if you have an answer to that question. How does a benefits broker help businesses and employees? And more importantly, does anybody know what a benefits broker does?
Doesn't a benefits broker consult with the company and see what their company needs in terms of benefits and insurance, basically, to sum it up?
Absolutely, that's correct. And then I know that Anne said navigating options and placing benefits coordinate, which is, you're hitting the nail on the head. Absolutely perfect. Now, there are 4 key components that benefits brokers focus on when working with an organization to offer a comprehensive benefits package to employees. And the first is talent recruitment and retention. As it was outlined in the survey from the previous slide, insurance benefits are one of the primary catalysts for recruiting and retaining top employee talent. Companies solely focusing on salary compensation is definitely a thing of the past. In order for employers to remain competitive in today's ever-changing market, they have to think of innovative ways to cater to their employee population. Also, risk and cost mitigation. As a company grows in size, the organization becomes more susceptible to insurance premium increases from year to year. And it's the job of a benefits broker like Cooperative to analyze market trends and claims costs throughout the year to ensure the company's premiums don't substantially increase at renewal time. And in addition to managing yearly insurance premium increases, employers need to be aware of the regulatory compliance guidelines that the state and federal governments require on a yearly basis. And if employers are audited and deemed what they call non-compliant, they may be on the hook for thousands, sometimes even millions of dollars in substantial penalties. And education and guidance is crucial in the health insurance industry. Although the majority of C-suite executives and top recruited talent are subject matter experts in their respective fields and occupations, not everyone is an expert when it comes to health insurance. It's a forever changing landscape, and it's imperative to work closely with human resource departments, executive teams, and the entire employee population to ensure the employer, as well as their workforce, are fully knowledgeable about all employee benefit offerings. And the main goal is to increase utilization and engagement amongst employees, which ties into the recruitment and retainment part of employee benefits. And one of the biggest pain points we hear from HR administrators and employers is the tediousness and time consumption that comes with managing an organization's employee benefits. This is why it's so important for a benefits broker to have an efficient service model that places a premium on customer service so that the employer, as well as its staff, can focus on their own jobs. This includes ensuring the benefit plan design matched with the company's needs and fully educating the employees on all benefit offerings so they're not constantly going to HR staff or the executive team for explanation of benefits. Some of the worst case scenarios include employees going to their supervisors or HR teams with insurance related questions and being given incorrect information. It not only causes a headache for the employee when trying to file an insurance claim, but it also may violate some privacy as well as HIPAA regulations. And actually later in this webinar, Luan will talk about a health advocacy service a lot of companies are utilizing that uses licensed professionals to alleviate those administrative burdens. So those are the 4 essential components that benefits brokers focus on to help businesses as well as employees. And we'll delve more into the talent recruitment and retention aspect of employee benefits.
Hey, Derek, before you move on, I just kind of want to also share with that last point you made, the lesson employer administration. This is actually where, as a broker, we can actually hop in and also offer recommendations for technology and software that could help lessen some of that burden. It's, something, as we kind of moving forward, every year there's something new coming out, and the same applies to the insurance industry. So I just wanted to kind of throw that out there so you're aware that, there are there are additional steps that brokers can take and other areas that brokers can assist clients with.
Yeah, that's a great point too. And when I started at Paychex Insurance Agency, which feels like many moons ago, everything was paper-based, nothing was technology-based. And now in 2021, being that, this is the future of healthcare, everything's technological. And so everything should be streamlined online, especially if employees are based throughout the country. Not everyone's localized into a brick and mortar place anymore.
Thank you. Sorry about the intro. I know we have a younger,
please.
I just want to let you know that not even 10 years ago, I mean, I think I still have groups who turn in paper applications. So this is very much a real life kind of a scenario where a benefits broker can come in and kind of advise on stuff like that. So
yeah, that's a great point. And never apologize, Luan, for chiming in.
Thank you.
And as I mentioned earlier, businesses of all sizes are looking at more than just financial compensation to attract and retain employees. And even prior to the pandemic, it was common for a company to be fully transparent when presenting a total rewards package to a prospective new hire. So I'm sure some of you have already experienced receiving offers from companies. Not only do they include the financial compensation in their offer, but they also detail how much insurance premium the company is covering for the medical, dental, or vision benefits, and sometimes life and disability insurance as well. And the global pandemic changed the way we operate in society. It also exposed glaring weaknesses within the healthcare infrastructure. And over the past year and a half, employers have had to restructure their benefits packages to adjust to this quote unquote new normal. And so retraining from within, modern businesses have had an accelerated shift to e-commerce because of the pandemic. The demand for digital services has led to a shortage of available computer analysts and engineers. This has really forced companies to pursue an alternative option to hiring new employees, which is essentially retraining their existing staff. Yeah. And the retail industry particularly has been hit the hardest with consumers preferring to shop online. And with a tight labor market, it's made it more difficult for retail stores to attract hourly employees that are specialized in digital skills. So companies like Levi's have recently rolled out a new machine learning bootcamp that's designed to teach coding and statistical analysis to its employees. And the new program focuses on key components when it comes to talent recruitment and retainment, which is essentially new career growth opportunities within the company. And just in 2020, despite closing the majority of its retail locations rather than laying off its employees, Verizon Communications launched their own retraining program and retrained nearly 20,000 of its workers for roles within the company that were focused on customer service, sales, as well as navigating digital platforms. And just earlier this April, convenience store chain Choice Market switched to checkout free shopping, which means that shoppers can actually purchase items without going to the cashier. And being that cashiers were becoming obsolete in their locations, they decided to also retrain their staff on data entry and analysis. And some of their cashiers were even promoted to e-commerce analysts, where they were in charge of tracking product sales and running the company's digital platforms with third-party delivery systems. So these are just a few of the ways companies are including comprehensive training programs in their benefits packages to gain a competitive edge over their competition. It also saves companies a substantial amount of money. In fact, McKinsey & Company, which is a global management consulting firm, they performed some in-depth research and found that rehiring a new employee can cost up to 3 times more than retraining an existing employee, which is an astounding statistic. And emphasis on childcare and caregiving support. So this new way of living in the past year and a half has turned our households into areas of office work, childcare, virtual learning, basically everything that consumes our daily lives. And unfortunately, a startling number of workers, especially working mothers, have faced the unfortunate choice of caring for a child or continuing to work during the pandemic. And in fact, nearly 2.5 million women left the labor force since February of 2020. And companies are definitely noticing these inequities in the caregiving system and realizing that they should invest in child care subsidies and include them in their employee benefits packages. And just last August, Accenture introduced a new school-based supervision for children through a partnership with a child care provider by the name of Bright Horizons. The company actually covered 75% of the cost for the children of its employees to follow remote learning at its supervised locations. This translated to the minimal cost of only $5 per hour. And to any employee or anyone out there with children, this cost definitely pales in comparison to the burden of juggling both parental and professional responsibilities at one time. And caregiving support from companies also ties into flexible work schedules and how it'll play an integral part in prioritizing human well-being for employees. Catalyst survey earlier this year found that employees with childcare responsibilities are 32% less likely to leave their job if they had access to remote work. And in addition to that, those employees are 30% less likely to look for another job if remote work is available. And as we emerge from the COVID-19 pandemic, the hybrid workplace model, which is where basically the traditional office location acts as an epicenter for social interaction, collaboration, and innovation, is emerging as the preferred post-pandemic standard for employees. And employers can also reap the benefits of this new industry structure and allow businesses to focus on acquiring the essential skills needed to drive economic growth. And it also provides the opportunity to expand the talent pool beyond just local expertise. Businesses can also try to obtain skilled professionals on a national or perhaps even global scale with a hybrid workplace model that is primarily virtual based. So outside of a traditional employee benefits package that may include medical, dental, vision, life and disability insurance coverage, or even paid time off, look for more employers to find creative ways to increase talent recruitment and retention, such as retraining from within, providing substantial caregiving support, or even outlining a more flexible work schedule to ensure the well-being of employees and their families throughout the year.
Hey, Derek.
I just noticed, yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, Megan said that my kids used to go to Bright Horizons in New York City. That's great.
Yeah, I'm glad you're enjoying that benefit. I just wanted to hop on here really quickly and kind of let everybody know, I always tell my, employee, I know the clients are, the employers are our clients as brokers, but I like to see the employees as extensions, right? And so whenever I speak to employees about their benefits, I always tell them to advocate for themselves. And I would advise you all here on, who are on this webinar with us, companies are looking to, as Derek has been explaining so nicely to us about how they are trying to get new talent to come in. They're really trying hard, and they're kind of scouring the marketplace to see what benefits are attractive to, to get in prospective employees, top talent. And I would just really, advise that everybody on this webinar, whether you're, newly in the job market or you've, kind of been around a couple times, to really advocate for yourself and not to be scared to do so. Companies won't really know what's attractive to you if you don't tell them. So I definitely, don't be scared to give them feedback. A lot of times we advise our clients to even do questionnaires during open enrollment to see what kind of benefits we can go out as brokers and find for them. So I just kind of wanted to leave you guys with that little bit of feedback for you, moving forward.
No, it's great. Knowledge is power, and it's great that you mentioned that too. It's good to advocate for yourself, especially when you're in the market.
Absolutely.
One of the unfortunate aspects of offering health insurance as an employer is the likelihood that premiums will increase from year to year. And this normally has to do with the cost of claims that employees file throughout the year, as well as the overall demographic makeup of the company, as well as its workforce. So here's an example of a large, rapidly growing company in the government contracting sector that went through a renewal last year for their health insurance benefits. And for those of you who aren't familiar with the government contracting sector, it's a highly competitive employment segment, which places the pressure on organizations to leverage employee benefits for workforce recruitment and retainment. And this particular group, they received a 13% increase in medical premiums at the renewal, which was substantially greater than their allowed budget, especially in the midst of a pandemic. And rather than instantly advising the client to change insurance carriers or manipulate the medical plan designs to reduce costs, We had a detailed discussion and listened to the client's financial and business needs. The company executives understood the importance of preserving the quality of employee benefits for recruitment and retainment purposes, while somehow controlling the rising costs at renewal time. So through in-depth evaluations of market segment trends and analyzing claims history, we were able to work with the insurance underwriters to reduce the overall increase in medical premiums by 60%. So it was a win-win situation for the company as well as the employees. The client was able to keep the medical plan designs within the allowed budget, but more importantly, the employee's network of coverage remained the same. And that's one thing that people forget. If a company decides to change insurance carriers or change plan design, the employees are unfortunately ultimately the ones who take on the burden of possibly needing to change doctors or providers' offices, and it just creates an unnecessary hassle for the company's workforce. And earlier I mentioned analyzing claims costs for this group. Later in this presentation, I'll outline the importance of educating employees on maximizing their benefits and how it can translate into reducing claims costs in the long run. And regulatory compliance is a crucial aspect of the benefits world for employers that offer insurance to employees. So why is compliance so important as it relates to employee benefits? Well, the Department of Labor and IRS have strict deadlines as well as liability guidelines to provide necessary plan documents to employees throughout the year. And if you're a company that offers health insurance benefits, the Department of Labor and IRS can come knocking at your door anytime. If you aren't able to produce those necessary documents and show proof that specific notices were filed and sent to employees in a timely manner, your company can actually face considerable penalties adding up to thousands, like I said, sometimes millions of dollars. An example of a company being subject to one of these substantial penalties is a court case known as Harris Fry versus United of Omaha. It's a simple situation of an employee enrolling under a life insurance policy and requesting what is called a summary plan document from the employer back in December 2012. So the employer failed to provide this summary plan document to the employee until May of 2013. That is 674 days after the employee's initial request. And the employee actually then filed a complaint with the Department of Labor, and the employer was audited, sent to court, ultimately was responsible for over $74,000 in penalties. In other words, they were subject to a penalty of, as you see here, up to $110 per day that they did not provide the summary plan document to the employee. And over the course of 674 days, that equated to over $74,000 in total. So this is a prime example of an employer not receiving the proper education, guidance, and support from a benefits broker needed to remain in compliance throughout the year. And this is one of the more considerable circumstances when it comes to regulatory penalties, but it's an important reminder that compliance plays a key factor in employee benefits, and that benefits brokers occasionally need to take on the role of risk managers to ensure employers are not liable for those penalties. So here's another question for everybody. In what type of medical plan are you currently enrolled? So in the chat, let us know if you're aware of the type of medical plan that you're enrolled in, whether it's through your employer, through the health insurance marketplace, or under your parents' insurance coverage. What type of medical plan do you currently have? If you don't know, perfectly okay.
It's okay. I didn't know when I was in college. I just knew I had it.
Neither did I, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Okay, we have parents insurance.
And that's one of the things that I'll show you here. It's very tough, especially when I was younger. I remember before I went into the health insurance industry, I didn't know anything about health insurance. It took me years and years of studying and actually experiencing health insurance to know what, HMO or PPO or POS plan was. All those acronyms they were throwing at me, I had no idea what those were.
I mean, it's very heavy language.
All right, so studies have shown the majority of employees, especially employees younger than 30 years old, tend to choose the highest cost medical plan option. Actually, a study at UC Berkeley was conducted with a large employer with just over 500 employees, and 65% of those employees stated that they chose the highest medical plan option, not because it catered to their health concerns, location, or networks of providers, but because it was, quote unquote, the safest option. And this is not to say that choosing the most expensive medical plan is the wrong decision. This study just goes to show that employees, even if they are skilled professionals in their own field, still need proper guidance and education when it comes to health insurance. So for example, a more expensive, robust PPO plan with a low deductible, which basically means that it offers national coverage. This plan might be good for an employee who travels quite often or possibly has some major health concerns or surgeries that may need to be treated in the near future, or has kids in college located in multiple states. This same expensive PPO plan probably won't be the best plan option for a healthy young professional that doesn't have any health concerns or doesn't foresee themselves relocating or traveling very much in the near future. And the young professional can certainly choose the expensive PPO plan, but is it truly the best decision for that particular individual? And that's where education and guidance on employee benefits factors in. It's absolutely imperative for a benefits broker to educate employees so they can make an informed decision when electing benefits. And in a few minutes, I'll detail how this can translate into substantial cost savings, not only for the employee, but for the employer as well. And Radius Global Research conducted a survey as well amongst employees in some of the major U.S. cities, including New York City, Philadelphia, DC, and Chicago. The research found that 96% of the population overestimated their understanding of health insurance. And the survey asked questions about simple insurance terminology, including deductibles, coinsurance, copays, and out-of-pocket maximums. And like I said before, I can remember when I was out of college prior to working in the health insurance industry, I had absolutely no idea what those terms meant. I wasn't privy to health insurance lingo. I didn't know which health insurance plan fit best with my needs. And this just goes to show that employers need to empower their employees with proper education so they can feel comfortable making their benefit elections every year. And this type of support creates a culture and environment that attracts employees and makes them want to stay with a company for the long term. And fringe benefits, that's basically a fancy term for tax advantage plans that employees can utilize to help cover the out-of-pocket expenses not covered under some traditional health insurance policies. And these benefits also cover healthcare expenses such as copays, deductibles, medical office visits, and prescription drug coverage. Some examples of fringe benefits include health savings accounts, also known as HSAs, flexible spending accounts, also known as FSAs, health reimbursement arrangements, also known as HRAs, and transit and parking benefits. And I won't go into too much detail on each of these benefits. The plans such as an HSA, they allow employees to set aside money on a pre-tax basis to pay for medical expenses. This means that the money an employee contributes into an HSA, it's never taxed, and every dollar that an employee contributes is pre-tax, which reduces their taxable income and ultimately increases their take-home pay. And in some instances, employers can also contribute towards an employee's HSA, similar to how an employer can contribute towards an employee's 401k or retirement plan. So here's an example of a way an employer can utilize these fringe benefits to maximize their cost savings while satisfying the needs of their employees. So one of our clients, it's a digital marketing firm where the employee population primarily consisted of healthy young professionals. The company wanted to offer two medical plans, a low deductible, more expensive plan, and a higher deductible, cheaper plan that could be paired with an HSA. And the company was budget cautious at the time on how much to spend on benefits, but they also wanted to ensure employees were well compensated from an insurance standpoint. So they decided to contribute $300 toward an employee's HSA if they selected the cheaper, higher deductible medical plan. So we worked with the company's HR staff to conduct open enrollment meetings and made sure the employees were well informed on all the benefit offerings through the company. And after an open enrollment was complete, 95% of the employees elected to enroll in the company's medical plans, and 90% of those employees, they elected the cheaper, higher deductible medical plan. So the employees simply just needed proper education and guidance to elect the correct benefit plan that catered to their needs. And in turn, the employees saved money and weren't overspending on health insurance. The employer paid cheaper premiums because employees weren't blindly electing the most expensive plan option. And the overall culture and morale of the company was enhanced, as evident by the significant participation in the medical benefits. And the worst is when a company thinks they're offering high quality health insurance packages, but only a small population of the employees actually enroll in the benefits. That's a sure sign that a company needs to reevaluate their insurance package.
Absolutely.
And supplemental benefits, also known as voluntary benefits, are becoming more popular amongst growing organizations because these types of policies, they're tailored and customized to each employee's health concerns and needs. And 4 popular supplemental benefits include critical illness, which covers catastrophic occurrences such as heart attack, stroke, or cancer; hospital indemnity. This coverage provides extended stays in hospital due to illness, injury, or surgery. There's voluntary life coverage for when an employee wants to purchase additional life insurance coverage for themselves, a spouse, or their child. And my personal favorite, pet insurance. So there's a lot of pandemic pet owners, including myself out there, who either adopted or purchased pets during quarantine. And more employers are beginning to offer pet insurance to their employees. And this type of insurance covers vet visits, vaccinations, prescription medications, as well as most accidental injuries or illnesses. And for larger businesses, the insurance carriers typically provide quarterly reports that actually track the claims that are filed by employees throughout the year. And so all the employee names are kept confidential due to privacy reasons, but the information provided in these reports include the cost of each claim, as well as the type of claim. So the reason why these reports are so useful is because the higher the cost of the claims, the more likely the insurance premiums will increase at renewal. So similar to owning a vehicle with auto insurance. If you end up filing expensive claims because you're getting into car accidents quite frequently throughout the year, it's incredibly likely that your auto insurance premiums will drastically increase. And so as risk managers and benefits brokers, we want to make sure we're analyzing these claims reports throughout the year to see if there's any trends for the types of high cost claims that may translate into significant premium increases in the future. And if a company's report has a significant amount of expensive claims pertaining to, let's say, extended hospital visits or surgeries, perhaps it may be a good idea for that company to look into offering hospital indemnity plans to supplement those costs for employees. Also, underwriting and insurance carriers also look at these types of supplemental benefits when negotiating with benefits brokers at renewal time for reducing insurance premiums. So if a company is doing their due diligence and adding a hospital indemnity benefit to mitigate the high cost of claims that were filed with hospitals throughout the year, the underwriters at the insurance carriers will be less likely to increase the insurance premiums at renewal. And the situation is similar to owning a home and adding, let's say, a Ring security doorbell or camera to your property. Homeowners insurance companies may look at this addition and provide a rebate or reduction in the homeowner's insurance premium. And this just outlines why education and guidance is so important in insurance. The vast majority of businesses and just people in general want to save money. It's just a matter of knowing how to implement the correct benefits and ensuring employees maximize the utilization of their insurance coverage. So now I'll turn it over to Luan so she can provide some valuable information on the growing need for mental health support as well as virtual care assistance.
Thank you so much, Derek. Before I get started, I just want to know, are you guys still with me? I know we've covered quite a bit of information, and as a broker myself, I do know that some of this can be a bit much to run through as quickly as we've run through it. So hopefully everybody's still okay and you're still with us. I promise we're not going to keep you on here for too long. We just have a couple more slides and then you get to question us. So please feel free, if you have questions, toss them in the chat for us, please, and we can go ahead and answer those because we want to hear from you as well, okay? Okay, so let me go ahead and get started. As you all know, the past year and some change has really been challenging. Thank you, Justin. I hope I'm pronouncing your name. Yes, you're all here, great. As you all know, the pandemic has really hit a lot of us hard this past year and a half, on multiple levels. And so employers are also aware of this, and they want to look for ways, and they have been looking for ways to take some of that burden away from employees, or to assist them as best they can during this tough period. And the best way to do that is through employee assistance programs. And usually these programs are offered through, we see a lot of them through life and disability policies. Some of them, the health plans also offer additional assistance for enrolled participants. The great thing about these programs is that they're kind of a bundled set of services. If you hop on a group sponsored life insurance policy, oftentimes it will come life insurance and disability coverages. They usually will come with employee assistance programs, sometimes several, depending on the package that your employer offers. And they offer tons of services. We have wellness support, which also I would kind of group in with work-related stress and issues. You can see a counselor, for free. If you need to speak to someone about some of the stress that you've been going through, whether it be work related, whether it be life related, we've definitely seen an uptick in participation in these types of services over the course of the pandemic, the last year and some change. So it's wonderful when employers find out, they get so excited when they find out that these programs are offered additionally as part of their policies. And employees, once they're aware that they have these resources, they're excited to utilize them, because a lot of it is at low cost or no cost to them at all. We kind of go down here to financial consultations. I don't know about any of you, but the pandemic has kind of really highlighted how I need to really tighten up my budget. You never know what's going to happen. And so you kind of just want to be able to kind of set goals for yourself and make sure that you and your family are in a good place financially. So in your employer, by signing up for these EAPs, is also investing in their employees' financial health, not just their emotional and their mental health, but also their financial health. So the wonderful thing is, these programs offer, they offer financial assistance, meaning you can get a free consult with a financial planner to tighten up your budget, to work through some financial goals. I've definitely had people who've reached out and asked about those. So it may not seem like a realm of possibility for you, but it's definitely worth looking into if your current or future employer provides this type of service. We go down to legal services. I love the fact that these EAPs offer some form of legal service assistance, because we all know lawyers cost a lot of money, sometimes you can't, you wonder, like, how are you going to pay for an hour consult for these people, especially the good ones. And so the best thing is to if you're currently employed with a company that offers these extensive benefits, reach out and see if you have something like this, because it really can cut down on costs. A lot of these EAPs offer legal services. The first visit is free for a lot of them. Sometimes you get up to 3 or 4 free visits. You get to talk with a lawyer for about 30 minutes to 60 minutes. That's a great resource. You can utilize it for yourself if you want to, if you want to have a will, or if you want to do estate planning. These are all, a lot of you are younger, but that's okay. Estate planning begins now. If you have a little bit in the bank, you're like, hey, let me just make sure my family's set, I'm set. It won't take too long. A great resource. I can't recommend it enough. Okay, this can also be used for other things. You get discounts on other legal services. So if you or your family need to utilize it for other things, that's certainly an option. A lot of them offer great discounts, anywhere between 20 and 45%, depending on the EAP. So that's something to also keep in mind. We go down to identity theft. As we all know, I feel like I read an article about identity theft at least like once every 2 to 3 weeks. It's just been an uptick, especially with technology, people hacking things. I love that EAPs offer some, identity theft services for the enrolled participants. Essentially, these services, you get a special number, you call, they help you keep track of your identity and all, demographic information. They kind of scour the internet, make sure no one's using it where they shouldn't. And then they also have other legal resources to kind of help you through, that process if you do get hacked and you do have your identity stolen. So that, I wouldn't know what I would do. What would be my first step if I realized someone was utilizing my stuff, my information? Where do I go? Obviously I cancel my credit cards and everything, but what do you do after that? So it's a great resource to find out what your next steps are and kind of, where do you go from there? And I think, health, nutrition, and fitness management. The nice thing about this particular benefit is that a lot of medical plans offer some sort of wellness or nutrition related wellness program attached to the plan that you're enrolled in. So a lot of times, like example, some of you have stated that you are currently on insurance. Some of your medical plans probably offer these fitness and nutrition management programs. So I would really recommend logging into your portals, and there's probably a tab. I don't know what sometimes they call it like health management, sometimes it's called wellness. Go in there and click and see, what kind of resources are there for you, because even if you're not paying for it, someone's paying for it and you're utilizing it. So why not make use of it, right? So I would highly, highly recommend that you guys, take advantage of everything that could be offered. A lot of it is free. So I'm like, take advantage of it. If you can use it and make it work for you, I highly recommend it. Derek, would you mind kind of flipping over to the next slide for me?
Absolutely.
Oh, thank you. All right. So the next thing we can talk about here is virtual care and assistance. So me and Derek talk about this all the time. I'm a big proponent for advocacy services, especially health advocacy, because as I stated earlier, I have some background working in billing, and with billing comes complex claim issues. And so I know first and foremost how challenging these claim issues can be for people. They do take a mental and emotional toll. I've had people tell me, working as a benefits broker, will call me up and say, hey, Luam, we got this bill. It's several $1,000s. I thought it was covered under our plan, and I don't know what to do. How do I, and I keep getting them. I keep trying to resolve it. I'm just not getting anywhere. And it really does break my heart, because I don't know about you guys, but I could not afford to pay several $1,000s in medical billing. You have simple surgeries costing you upwards of $10,000 to $20,000, and the insurance company could come back and say, oh no, we're only going to cover a very small percentage, and you're responsible for the rest. That's like a nightmare of mine. I would, even though I work in this industry, I can't even fathom having to deal with something like that. So a lot of times I tell my clients, listen, it's worth you investing in a health advocacy service for your employees and for yourself. The great thing about these services is they help employees with their healthcare related needs. They can help with claim issues. If you have some sort of prescription issue that you're having, perhaps you need a particular prescription and the pharmacy is saying that, no, you're going to be responsible for this. Prescription drugs are very expensive. Then you have just billing discrepancies. Perhaps you paid your portion and there's an issue there, and they're saying we didn't receive your payment. That's also that can really run a toll on you if you going back and forth. I don't know how many of you have actually had the opportunity to call up an insurance company and try to talk to someone about what kind of issue you're having. Rachel's over there smiling, so maybe she's had some experience. Derek and I can tell you, it's not a pretty thing, especially as an enrolled participant in a plan. It's very challenging to get in front of someone who can actually do something for you. A lot of times you get rerouted, from person to person. Oftentimes they don't know exactly what's going on. So you kind of run through this whole cycle where you have to explain your whole issue over and over and over again. And it becomes one of those things where you just mentally, it does drain you. So the wonderful thing about these health advocacy services is that if an enrolled participant in this service will get a special number they call, they'll get an actual specialist who is licensed and credentialed in your state in some cases, and they get to speak on your behalf. They can run you through your benefit package, so they can tell you exactly what's covered under your plans. They can be that liaison for you between, the insurance provider and, your actual health provider and yourself. They can help you kind of maneuver and run appeals, and they can do everything that you can think of from your perspective, especially from an administrative standpoint. They can help you do. So please, 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 if your employers offer something similar to this, I would highly recommend that you consider it. You may not think it's important now, but I tell you, it's worth it. It's worth it. It's worth it. Not only for yourself, but also for your family members, because they also can take advantage of these plans as well. Sorry, that was a lot of words being thrown at you, but health advocacy is one of those things I'm like, I wish I had that. I've aging, I have older parents, and they do have medical issues, and sometimes I wish I had that intermediary for me to help me kind of maneuver the system. Even though I have background in it, it would just be wonderful to have that extra help. So I will stop there and just, I don't want to rant at you guys, but please, please look at everything you're being offered by an employer. Make sure you're utilizing it to the best of your ability. I will
No, thank you, Mom. And I think the pandemic, if anything, we're pivoting towards everything virtual care as well as mental health. That's a big subject these days, especially amongst the athletes we're seeing in the Olympics, whether it's professional sports. So yeah, you make some great points for mental health as well as supporting virtual care and assistance. So thank you.
Thanks.
And then last question of the day, what makes Southwest Airlines so special? Let me know through the chat. I'm sure all of you know about Southwest Airlines, but what makes them so special from a customer service standpoint, business standpoint, or maybe you don't like Southwest Airlines? Just let me know through the chat.
2 free bags, that's my favorite. 2 free bags. That's always at the top of my mind.
So basically, 2 free bags is great. Yeah, the reason why I chose them as an example is because since its inception, it has maintained a simple yet efficient service model. And it continues to thrive into 2021 with operating revenues increasing 297% as of June. So low-cost pricing. It's the only large U.S. airline carrier that is also a low-cost carrier. And flexibility, Southwest Airlines actually allows customers to cancel a reservation up to 30 minutes before a flight's departure, which is basically one of the highest levels of customer service an airline can offer. And just to let you know, as a benefits broker, just like any competitive business or risk manager, needs to have a proficient service model. An efficient employee benefits process is broken down essentially into 3 phases: implementation, ongoing maintenance, and continual education and guidance. And so during the implementation phase, there are in-depth discussions to evaluate financial goals and benefits needs. And once the plan designs are finalized within the benefits package, open enrollment meetings are held and communication strategies are developed to educate employees on all benefit offerings. And like I've said before, it's all about empowering the employees to maximize the use of their benefits throughout the year, because better utilization of the benefits will help keep costs down, not only for the employees, but also for the employer, because those high cost claims that employees file throughout the year, they really add up. And the employer is the one who sees those premium increases drastically at renewal time. And for ongoing maintenance throughout the year, it's imperative to provide continuous support and guidance to update employers as well as employees on the healthcare industry through articles or monthly newsletters. Our particular firm promotes thought leadership and encourages our team members to write articles or conduct webinar series such as this one that you're attending today. These types of avenues are great for informing the masses about the healthcare infrastructure, keeping in touch with clients and updating them on market trends, or even hopefully promoting transformational change in society. And all that education and guidance in that phase 3 is a continuation of the other 2 stages. It's incredibly important to be proactive rather than reactive when it comes to insurance, mainly because you want to mitigate future risk as much as possible. And so that continuous open communication and market analysis, which includes evaluating the employee claims reports throughout the year, ensures there is no surprises at renewal time for the organization's insurance offerings. And similar to Southwest Airlines, this type of service model is easily repeatable, and it focuses on customer service, and the customers in this case being employers. Almost wrapping up, guys. I'm so sorry that's cutting so close to 2 o'clock. This is the last slide, I swear. So the last bit of information is general knowledge about customer service that can translate into all facets of risk, insurance, or just overall communications in life. And one of my favorite quotes that pertains to communication is from the late Stephen Covey. He said, "Seek first to understand, then to be understood." And listening is crucial to any relationship, whether it's personal or business related. And oftentimes there are brokers or sales reps that absolutely love to talk and sell without fully understanding the needs of their clients. And that's why it's so important for brokers to listen and understand the client's financial goals and business needs, and then develop a strategy and implement a plan to cater to those financial goals and meet those business needs. And having a reliable and definitive main point of contact is not necessary as a benefits broker, but it certainly differentiates you from the competition. And we've all experienced the dreadful customer service phone calls, whether it's an internet service provider or a phone company such as AT&T. When you call the customer service line, you're placed on hold for probably 15 to 20 minutes, sometimes even longer. And all you want to do is talk to a person to resolve your issue or receive detailed information. Health insurance is considered basically a necessity in today's environment, especially post-pandemic, which places even more importance on having a main point of contact that is reliable and responsive. So I know that we are cutting it very close right now to 2 o'clock, but let us know if you have any questions. I want to say thank you to Rachel, Lawam, and everyone joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure and honor to be included in this webinar series. Hopefully we were able to provide you with some insightful information about the world of employee benefits. Please feel free to reach out to myself or Lawam directly if you have any questions or simply want to talk about insurance in general. We also have some additional resources on our website that include articles, webinars, fact sheets, and newsletters that provide insights and analysis on risk and insurance. And I'm sorry that the latter part of the presentation had to go quite quickly. Again, I'm so sorry that it went past the allotted time, but let us know if you have any questions or comments in the chat.
Yes, thank you, everybody. Thank you so much, Rachel, and the Spencer Educational Foundation. We really appreciate you guys having us on here today. Sorry, everybody, we were ranting along, and we're trying to make insurance as sexy as we can.
It's a great way to end. I love it. Luam and Derek, thank you so much for giving your time and energy to this session. We haven't had the opportunity to talk about employee benefits in our series thus far, so this really filled a great gap for us. So thank you for being here. I just have a quick announcement. So next week, we have 2 events coming up with the Spencer Educational Foundation. First, on Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, we hope you'll join us for a virtual roundtable discussion with Pete Garvey of Galway Insurance Holdings and Mary Roth of RIMS, along with 2 Spencer Scholarship recipients. So we'll be talking with current students and current industry professionals, and we hope you'll join us for that conversation. And then on Thursday, we're going to be having another one of these webinar sessions, same time, same place. It's entitled The Global Insurance Regulatory Environment, presented by Michael Blackshear of Ryan Specialty Group. So just wanted to throw those announcements out there, and bringing it back to Derek and Lawam, please, if anyone has questions, we can stay on for another couple of minutes to address any of those. Derek and Lawam, I don't want to offer that on your behalf, but if you're able to stay, please feel free. And again, thank you, everyone. Yeah,
I've got some time, guys. So feel free to throw in So I know it's being recorded because I'd say, oh, you should just ask us any questions. We'll go ahead and.
We can always edit.
Okay, there we go.
I'm curious, sorry, Nicole, go for it. I see you on
Oh,
mute.
I'm sorry.
No,
I don't know if either of you work with workers' comp, but what do you guys think of the future of workers' compensation in terms of working, like the working from home and remotely?
I don't know. You
No,
know,
that's a really good comment. Oh, sorry.
No,
Oh,
go ahead, Eric. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, that's a great question. The future of it is, well, right now it depends on, it's a fluid situation in terms of the pandemic, right? So it depends on whether or not people are going to be fully back in the office. I think that being that we're pivoting towards a hybrid model going forward, and workers' compensation, it's going to be prevalent in, let's say, Amazon warehouses these days. I think that, sorry about that. My dog's licking my feet. I think that workers' compensation will be stagnant. It'll come back as strong as ever, but I think that factories such as Amazon, they'll see that struggle, especially if they unionize in the near future. I know that they've been trying to. I don't know that it'll come to fruition, but as I talk more and more, I'm not that privy to workers' compensation, so I'm going to stop talking right there.
Yeah, I think, workers' comp is considered P&C, isn't it, Derek?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. So we don't have as much insight into that, Nicole. We're kind of on the life and health side, but I wonder, Derek, do you think with, people kind of moving to a hybrid, work format, do you think that insurance rates, how do you see them going, because if people aren't really working, because, most times you get workers' comp because you have people in a workspace, you want to keep them safe, you want to make sure they're covered in case of an injury. So you have, but a lot of those people who have workers' compensation are usually in industries that require a lot of kind of, people who are doing like manual work in the sense that, construction or, you're an electrician or carpentry, or you do other kind of services where people are moving around a lot. So I'm wondering how that would, I'm not sure. That's a very good question, Nicole. It's a very good question. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm wondering how those insurance rates would look, because I think that would affect how, the future of workers' comp, because, how are those writers viewing that risk,
Yeah, I know in Seattle, particularly with Amazon, that was big in the news, where they had to actually create a new category for Amazon fulfillment centers, because they were worried that the insurance premiums in their current category, I forgot what it was categorized as, but it was essentially a factory, and other factories within that demographic or market segment, they were concerned that premium increases would be drastic come renewal time. So I think that it's those factories or where workers are still going into the actual workplace, even during a pandemic, that's where you'll see changes in workers' compensation.
Yeah, I don't know if we answered your question, Nicole, but
it's fine. I didn't know if you guys had any background in it, but thank you so much for trying.
Sorry about that. Yeah, no, I wish, it's hard enough doing life and health. I mean, P&C is kind of like its own world.
Awesome. Any other questions from the last remaining? Thanks for staying with us.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, do we have any?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, if we don't have other questions, Derek and Lalom, thank you so much again. It's been a pleasure learning from you today and meeting you both. And thanks for being here. I again, from the entire Spencer team, want to thank you for giving your time today. Much appreciated.
Thank you so much for having us. Thank you, everybody,
Yeah,
for
thank
staying
you.
on.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right. Have
guys.
a great rest of your day, afternoon, and hopefully we'll see you next week and in the future.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a lovely
Bye.
day.
Bye.